Saptamyena Bhutavesham Padamayan Padam Vandeham Shivaro Shivata Padamalam Shivarunga Shivansha Shivukam Sagajatam Savana Ravanatam Tam Savivam Sadhutam Savadutam Parjana Savitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Savana Lalita Shri Shakam Tamsa Namam Shubhadaya Krishna Krishna Vikhlesham Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Swami Shashashunavipasa Adistani Vancha Pampagriva Sakapasa Sakasana Bhavi Vilashna Brahmanama Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Brahmanaya Krishna Krishna Namo Bhaksana Krishna Parnasi Satranjan Gaurami Siraji Yes, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna. So just a minute, what I'll do, I'll open the door for little passage. Just a minute. Hare Krishna. So we are reading which verse?
$13.22, Prabhu.
13.22. Okay. Okay. So qualities of Paramatma were over now. And further the process of entanglement in this world and how to get released is explained. So we'll start with 22. No. Still this is going on. Paramatma's qualities are going on. Purusa prakriti stohi bhumte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangvasya sarasabhyam dharmasu. Please read the translation.
The living entity in the material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species.
Thank you. So they're like very, very famous verse. So because of beginningless ignorance, Jiva thinks himself to be body. So he's caught up as misidentification. So he thinks that his capacity for enjoying this world and controlling this world, acting in this world, that is like eternal. Of course, from time to time, what happens is the capacity to enjoy and capacity to act is taken away from time to time, especially when person becomes older. But then he thinks that it is my very nature. So body, mind, senses. So they are not nature of living entities. They are nature of things in this world. But still, Jiva thinks that it is my very nature. And because of that, what happens is he takes birth again and again. He thinks I can't live without it. So then Prakriti Stha. So because of identifying with this Prakriti or body is made up of Prakriti only ultimately. So Bhungte Prakriti Janvana. Bhungte means one enjoys or suffers by their identity. So actually suffering or enjoyment is given to the body. But because living entity misidentifies with the body, he also suffers or enjoys. So happiness, etc. And Prakriti Jan Godan means basically Prakriti means material nature, but because of material nature, he gets this mind. So consciousness flows through the mind. When mind is absorbed in a particular thing, we enjoy or suffer the consequence of that absorption in that particular thing. It's like somebody becomes attached to a particular thing. You make that particular thing deteriorated or suffer. Person also suffers. For example, like there's a very good story. It comes in Ramayana. That once one great sage, he was doing so much of tapasya that Indra started becoming very fearful. He thought that this fellow will surely take my throne. So what Indra did is, he came to the sage, paid obeisances, and then he left his sword there. So he said that, my dear sage, I have to go for some important purpose, so I have to hide this sword. Can I hide this sword in your ashram? And sage aloud, he said, okay, no problem. So he kept the sword there and he ran away, Indra. And sage every day he would like see this sword, oh Indra's sword. Anyway, he will take it away at any point of time. But in due course of time, what happened is, he started looking at that sword. He started like touching the sword. Then he thought, let me use the sword also. So then he started using the sword. And in due course of time, all the passion to fight came back. And Indra's work was done. So that is how. And if at that time somebody would take away the sword from the sage, which didn't happen actually, but if he would have taken, then sage would have felt pain. So till you don't have thing, you don't identify with the thing, that particular thing doesn't give pain or pleasure. As soon as you start identifying with a particular thing, then it gives pain and pleasure. So the whole problem is misidentification. So this happens because of mind. So karanam guna sangha asya. So the main reason is the contact of the soul with the body, which is made up of guna sangha, which is made of three modes of material nature. So actually soul doesn't contact the body, but the soul is fabricated through ignorance. So this soul, under ignorance, starts thinking he is body. But then the question comes, where does the jiva and so sad asad yoni janmashu. So he enjoys in the body of sometimes demigods, sad yoni, and sometimes in the body of animals, etc., which is produced from his pious or sinful activities. So that is how in different body one enjoys or suffers. But the main root cause is misidentification with the body. That's the root cause. So then after speaking about Jiva, now Lord starts speaking about Paramatma. So although he spoke about Paramatma from 13 to 18, again he starts speaking about Paramatma now. Just to show that Jiva is situated in the body but is bound. Paramatma is situated in the body, is not bound. He is not bound. So again the qualities of Paramatma are given in section number 23. उपदृष्टानुमन्ता च भर्ता भोक्ता महेश्वरा परमात्मेति चाप्युक्तो देहे अस्मिन् पुरुषा परा. Please read the translation.
Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as Supersoul.
Yeah. So Paramatmeti chapi ukto. So in this body there's another cha api. This again refutal of Mayavad philosophy. That is, apart from soul spoken in the previous word, there is one more personality known as Paramatma. So he is great. His name is great. Param. Paramatma comes from the word Paramatma. That shows that he is also expansion of the Lord of Krishna, but he is different. He's Paramatma. He's superior. He's not just like ordinary soul. He's not just Atma. He's Paramatma. So that's why he's Swamsa, whereas Jivas are Vibhinnamsa. So Jivas are Vibhinnamsas. We are separate part of the Lord. And Paramatma is Swansa. He is the personal expansion of the Lord. Like my hand is also part of my body. My hairs are also part of my body. But if you cut the hand, I'll feel a lot of pain. But if I cut my hairs, I'll not feel pain. So jivas are like hairs. They are like Vibhinnamsas. But all other avatars like Paramatma means Sridaksha Vishnu, Karnadaksha Vishnu, etc. Narayan forms. They are like hands and legs. So that this example given by Prabhupada. So Swamsa, so distinct from the jiva. Then he is Upadrashta. Drashta means witness. And Upa means very close. He is the closest witness. That's why anybody can hide anything from any whole world, but nobody can hide anything from Paramatma. Because he is closest witness. As soon as Jiva desires, Paramatma knows. So that is how Paramatma is very near, Upadrashta. But he's a witness. Witness means he doesn't dictate anything. He just witnesses. For example, somebody is walking from the terrace, he's witnessing. Somebody jumps off from the terrace, he witnesses. Somebody gets a fracture after getting down from the terrace, he witnesses. Somebody goes to the hospital, he witnesses. He just does witnessing work. He personally doesn't get involved. Because person is enjoying or suffering under his own karma only. Lord doesn't interfere in that. It's Upadrashta. So that's why he's separate from the jiva. But Anumanta, he's the bestower of or sanctioner basically. Anumanta means it comes from the word Anumati. So like for example, in your offices, if you want to get something in your cubicle, so you may propose to the manager, but ultimately manager, unless until he sanctions, you will not get anything in that cubicle. So that is how Anumati is required, Anumanta. So he gives Anumati also. Saptarashta Anumanta. Then Bharta. Bharta means he's the master. Master means Bharta means basically come from the word Bharan. He's the maintainer. So Prabhupada would say that we can't survive on nuts and bolts. We want grains. Grains come from the rains. And rains come when there is yajna, there is pleasure of Lord Vishnu. So it's Bharta. Similarly, Bhokta also. Ultimately, he's the supreme enjoyer. We try to be small enjoyers. But then Lord is the ultimate enjoyer. And Mahaishwara. Mahaishwara means we are small controller, but Lord is the greatest controller. So all these things, all these are like qualities of Supreme Lord. Bhokta also means protector. He is the protector of the jiva also. Otherwise, the way things are, anything goes out of control will immediately die. Earth goes little bit close to sun, we will die. Little bit far away from the sun, we will die. So it is ultimately Lord only who is protecting all of us. So this 23rd. Now 24th. 24th gives the result of the knowledge about Atma, Paramatma and Prakriti. Ya evam veti purusham prakritim cha gunaesaha sarvata vartamanopi nasa bhuyo abhijayate. Please read the Atma.
One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So what is the result of this knowledge? So he who knows Paramatma, Purusa, Prakriti or Maya Sakti, along with its qualities, and the Jiva, indicated by Cha. So Prakriti Cha Godainsa. Cha, he is indicating the Jiva. So one who knows about basically matter, spirit, and controller of both. MSC. Matter, spirit, and controller of both. Prakriti, Purusa, and Jiva. What is the result? The result is very great. He doesn't take birth again in this world. So that's the benefit. So he may be situated in unfavorable circumstances. Sarvatha vartamano api. In the current circumstances, he may be in different type of situations. Like he may be too much overpowered by sleep, ignorance, etc. He may be having difficulty controlling his mind. But if anybody who understands this philosophy properly and he trusts this philosophy, not just like what do you say, knowing this philosophy, but one who trusts this philosophy, then such a person is not born again. Na sa bhuyo abhijayate. So he will not be born again. Okay. So next verse we'll take now. ध्यानेनात्मनि पश्यन्ति केचित् आत्मानमात्मना अन्ये सांख्येन योगेन कर्म योगेन चापरे. Please read.
Hare Krishna. Some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires. Hare Krishna.
So now this verse tells other methods of understanding this knowledge of Atma Paramatma. So what are the other methods? Dhyayena. So some devotees, by contemplating on the Lord, may get this knowledge. But even yogis also, by contemplation, they understand the difference between Atma and Paramatma. They realize that I am not this body. Where do they do dhyan? In the mind. Atmani. So this is one process of understanding. Then there are other people who may be dhyana pasyanti atmanam. So, but ultimately, just meditation is not enough. One has to meditate on Paramatma. Basically, one has to do devotion service. It's not like any sort of dhyan somebody doing on concentric circle and this and that. That sort of dhyan will not help. Then anye sankhena yogena. Some other people by Sankhya Yoga, these are Gyanis. So Gyanis, by learning Sankhya Yoga, they discriminate between body and soul. So they can also understand this knowledge of Atma Paramatma. They can also discriminate. Then Karma Yogena cha apare. There are other people who can distinguish between body and soul by practicing Karma Yoga. So by Karma Yoga, what will happen is they'll get transcendental knowledge and slowly they will realize that I'm not body, I'm soul. Okay, so these are the ways by which one can realize the soul and super soul. So that's not direct ones, they're like indirect ones. They're indirect ways of understanding Paramatma through Ashtanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Karma Yoga. Then other ways also, apart from that. Anne tu evam ajanantah sutva neyebh pasate te api chati taranti eva mittum suti parayana. Please read.
Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Hare Krishna.
So these are about devotees. In the previous verse, people would understand indirectly because Paramatma can be realized directly only by bhakti. If we don't do bhakti, they will not realize. But there are devotees, they may not be very expert in Sankhya Yoga, in meditation, in all the intricacies of karma. But even they can realize simply by the process of hearing from the realized soul. So these people, they may not be able to practice, but just by hearing, which is like a process of bhakti, they also can realize that I'm not body. So they are various means. Santosh, you have a question.
Prabhuji, in the verse 25th, it said that the translation says that some perceive the super soul within themselves through various process. Means the perceive means they have experience through, right? Which is like through various process. But how can we experience? Theoretically, we are understanding yes, soul and super soul is there, but how can we experience that through?
Soul one can experience. So, like now, these are the processes. They are not just like theory. One practices, as we had understood before also, that by cultivation of mode of goodness, the one gets spiritual knowledge. Knowledge awakens in the heart. By that one can realize. But as far as Paramatma realization is concerned, they cannot perceive just like that. For that, they have to practice bhakti also. But they can know indirectly. Indirectly, how they can know? Like we say, nah, this mobile is made by someone, this bag is made by someone, this wall is also painted by someone, somebody is painting outside now. I'm here in my person, that painting is going on. Even for small things, we need someone. Then how can we say that a body which is so complex came by itself? Mother, father makes it, not mother makes it. Somebody must have made it. So that indirectly we are understanding that how Paramatma is created.
Okay, Prabhuji.
But one will not able to realize. Realizing comes only by practice of bhakti. That is best for them.
That's what we hear in the translation mentioned that some perceive the super soul within themselves through various process. Means they have experienced the super soul within.
See, perception is like something which may be intellectual and which may be totally irrational. Like I'm perceiving something about future. You may not see the future, but you perceive something. So even the word perception itself, it's like shows a bit of lack of clarity. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji. One more question, that in the 22nd verse said that due to the association of the material nature, all the problems, right? Like what is the importance of association for a devotees especially? Like how can we keep growing ourselves in the consciousness?
We have to choose the association carefully. That is the main. So it's like now we can associate with materialistic people, we can associate with devotees. But if we keep the association of devotees, then we'll keep on progressing. Very simple. So you have to choose it. It's like now, many times certain things come from free of cost. Especially in initial days, devotees may be doing our follow-up. After some time, we have to do their follow-up. Run behind them, say that, oh, I want the resources. So we have to pay a price. Okay.
Thank you.
यावत् संजायते किंचित सत्वं स्थावर जंगमम क्षेत्र क्षेत्र के संयोगात् तद्विद्धि भरतर्षभ. Please read.
O chief of Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So whatever he spoke, Lord is just expanding on that. He says that know that all living entities, whether moving, non-moving, low, high, they simply born from combination of field and knower of the field. So I told you there are two knower of field, Atma, Paramatma, and field is body. So everything, everybody is combination of these three things. Body, metal, which is metal nature, Atma, and then Paramatma. That's all. Hari Nam Vaishnav.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, last 26th sloka, last version, Prabhuji. How can you understand it, Prabhuji? Last line.
You read it out, na? What you didn't understand.
Prabhuji, ఎవరైనా చదువుతారా Prabhuji English లో? ప్రామాణికుల నుండి శ్రవణం చేయడం వలన ప్రకృతి గల ప్రవృత్తి గల వాడు. సార్ ప్రభు ఇంగ్లీష్ లో ఎవరైనా చదవగలరా Prabhuji? అలా 26th sloka last line.
You're talking about purport or you're talking about translation?
Translations.
Okay. Because of their tendency
Translation.
to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death.
Yes.
So if somebody hears, Sravanam is also process, na? Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smarana. So simply by hearing, doing Sravanam, one can go back to God. That's quite possible.
కొంచెం ఎలాబరేట్ చేసి చెప్పండి.
Can you explain?
Please explain that.
Elaborate.
All ISKCON temple devotees, Sravanam is continuously doing Sunday, and regularly Prabhupada lectures. And how can you understanding this? Please.
See, we are simply hearing, and hearing we are progressing, na?
Yes.
Now progress will take time. We can't expect that overnight will be self-realized soul. It takes time to progress. So if we continue hearing, we can progress. But to the degree our quality of hearing is good, to that degree we progress.
Yes.
Like for example, this Parishit Maharaj, he was saying, Neta, I just forgot that first line. Sunmam tahto damapi badete pivantam tam makamodam chitam harikathamutam. So na sahati. So he says na sahati. So he said that earlier I was not able to tolerate the thirst, and I kept the snake under the on the neck of Samigrisi. But as far as now it is concerned, I am not worried about hunger and thirst. Why? Because pivantam tam makamodam chitam harikathamutam. Because I am hearing the nectar of Krishna Katha which is coming from their mouth. So if somebody was engrossed in hearing, there is almost 5 days of fasting, no water, no drinking, no water, no food for 5 days. But he was so much absorbed in hearing that he could transcend the bodily platform. So if our quality of hearing is good, just by hearing one can go back and Bhakti Godhead. Quite possible. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you.
So main thing is when we hear, we should be absorbed. Absorption is very important. So try to be absorbed.
Thank you.
Okay, now 28. So how this person sees, when he understands, we get the realization of Paramatma. So how does he see? He's given 28. Samam sarvesu bhutesu tishtantam parameshwaram vinasyats avinasyantam ya passati sapassati. Please read.
One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actively sees. Krishna Prabhu.
So one should therefore know Paramatma. Okay, so this is for the person who has less soul. So he sees how this Paramatma is hidden in everybody's body. Now this verse can be taken for Paramatma also, apart from Atma. So if this verse is taken for Paramatma, it would mean is one should therefore know Paramatma. So it's talking about Paramatma. That one should therefore know Paramatma. Who sees Paramatma situated in distracted bodies of all being, he actually sees. What it means is Jnani has to practice seeing Paramatma in everyone's heart. And a devotee, if he practices devotion service, then by practicing devotion service, he actually would see also. But for a Jnani, it becomes a sadhana. So one has to see Paramatma in everyone's heart, and that is the reason one offers obeisances. One offers obeisances to every personality, understanding that Paramatma is in each and every body. That's why Krishna in Uddhava Gita says that, my dear Arjuna, the best sadhana for progressing in self-realization is to keep on paying obeisances even to the mules and donkeys and pigs, till you realize my presence within their heart. So, just by giving respect to everyone, understanding Paramatma in their heart, one can make progress in spiritual life. This person actually sees. We see that how Paramatma is sitting in their heart. Okay, I think clear, na? Now 29.
Prabhuji here also mentioned that Parameshwara, like even Lord Shiva also called it sometimes Parameshwara. Like
No, he's not called Parameshwara, he's called Maheshwara.
Parvati Parameshwara they say over here. So
He actually speaking, as far as Shiva is concerned, he's also called Parameshwara in the sense that in the material world, in the material realm, greatest personality is Lord Shiva. So Parvati and Shiva are called the father and mother of all the conditioned living entities. In that sense, it's called Parameshwara. Like, it is very simple to say. It's like you say the chief minister is having ultimate power in the state. But that is true if you don't consider prime minister in between in picture. As soon as you bring prime minister in picture, then he becomes small person. It's like
okay.
Samam pasyan hi sarvatra samavastam ishwaram na hinasti atmanatmanam tato yati param gatim.
One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. Hare Krishna.
So Atmanam hinasyati. So one who sees that soul and super soul at all the time, such a person's mind will not degrade. When mind is filled with the desires to enjoy, it degrades. When mind is absorbed in seeing Atma and Paramatma everywhere, then mind cannot degrade such a person. So Krishna telling of the power of this knowledge of seeing matter, soul, and super soul everywhere. Okay, it's 29 and 30th. Prakateva cha karmani kriyamānāni sarvasya ya pasyati tathatmanam akartaram sa pasyati. Please read.
One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees.
So one who sees that all actions are done by Prakriti in the form of body and senses, and one who is seeing that how actions are performed by Prakriti only ultimately. This is performed by ego, intelligence, body, senses, etc. And he is seeing Atma which is beyond. So then he understands that akartaram, actually I'm not doing anything, in the sense that I'm just desiring. Ultimately, it is material nature who's arranging everything, who's doing everything. So such a person is not caught up by doers and mentality. I have done this, I have done it. He understands that Prakriti has done it. So then such a person is not degraded. And he sees the things in reality, because actually speaking, things are done by Prakriti. So he is one who sees all other people are illusion in this world. Okay, 31. यदा भूत पृथक् भावम् एकस्तामनुपश्यति तदेव च विस्तारं ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा. Please read.
When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. Hare Krishna.
So when one perceives that various bodies of living entities, pratak bhavang, some are moving, some are not moving, they are ultimately products of one prakriti only, one material nature. And at the time of pralaya, all this body will be destroyed. So one who sees that there ultimately all these bodies are expanse of different prakriti, like Janaspu would often say, beautiful people in this world have beautiful arrangements of kapha vata pitta together. So ultimately bodies are made of kapha vata pitta. Kapha means mucus, pitta means acid, and vata means air. So when all these three things, they are beautifully combined, people become beautiful. For some people, they are not beautifully combined, they don't remain beautiful. So when one sees that ultimately everything is just made up of matter, so then such a person attains Brahma Sampadyate. He realizes himself different from this body. Because matter is so disgusting, one cannot get attracted to matter. Once there was a bone, and above the bone the skin got rubbed off for myself. So smell the bone, I think, no, how can I be this body? Not possible. So nasty. Made up of bones and flesh and blood. So that is how one gets Brahma Sampatti. So then Arjuna says that earlier you were saying Karanam Guna Sangvasya Sati Sati Yoni Janamsu. But because of contact with material nature or contact with body, Jiva is born again. So then by thinking himself to be the body, being in the body, one will become contaminated by the gunas and take repeat birth again and again. But Paramatma doesn't become contaminated. So why doesn't Paramatma become contaminated? Why only Jiva becomes contaminated? So then please explain this. And then Krishna speaks. Anaditvan Gudatvat Paramatmayam Abhaya Sariristo api Kaunteya na karoti na lipate. Please read.
Those with a vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body of Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled.
So then Lord says that Supreme Person, why he doesn't become entangled? Because he's Anadi. He's the cause of everyone. It's like one who has made the rules and regulations is not bound by the rules. Like if I am the maker of my company, I am not bound by the rules of the company. I may follow the rules just to set an example for others, but I am not bound. Anadi. Anaditvat. He is the final cause or the ultimate cause. So because gunas come from him, nirgudatvat. So then he is not bound by gunas. But they also come from him only. He is the one who is making the gunas. So at all times, in all circumstances, without decreasing his knowledge, bliss, etc., Lord can keep on doing his things. So in this way, although he is situated in the body, he doesn't take up the qualities of the body. That is the reason. And he doesn't think himself to be doer. He knows that all my energies are doing different things. Lord is called Sat Sankalpa. He takes a Sankalpa, he desires and things are done. So in this way, he doesn't try to enjoy this world. And because he has no enjoying mentality, he doesn't think himself to be doer, although he is the doer actually speaking. So that's why na liptate. He doesn't become contaminated. But Jiva thinks himself to be a doer, and that's why Jiva becomes entangled. So being situated in the body is not contaminating. Trying to enjoy through this body, trying to do things through this body, thinking oneself to be the doer, misidentification with the body, these things are the causes of entanglement in this world. What has to be changed is mentality. Mental state. Okay, Vaishnavi Mata.
Hare Krishna. Just a minute, it's echoing. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Prabhu, like the soul is transcendental, right? But how the desire, from where it comes, Prabhu? Like because we desire to enjoy this material nature, we came here. Like we want to become the master. So how does that relates?
See, desire is the entire property of the soul itself.
Soul itself, yeah, that's what. So, but actually, the cause, the desire is the cause, right? Even though soul is detached from the body.
See, what happens is ultimately soul desires. So there is some initial desire and there is like further desires. Now, for example, let us say there is some fear in the city. Now, child gets a desire, I want to go there. The parents may say, not required, now you're happy in home only, why you have to go there? Then he says, no, I want to go there. So that's like an initial desire to go there. Now, after he goes there, now let us say it is a very hot sunny day. Parents may, no, if you go there, no, unnecessary, it will be terrible suffering there. But he said, no, I want to go. So although he knows that there is suffering, he desires to go. Or he may say that I want to really see how it is suffering. On a hot sunny day to go to fair. And he may go there. But after going there, now what may happen is he may see different things in the fair. And then that is how he molds his desires. I want to go in this swing. I want to just purchase this particular thing. I want to say this funny show. So then he may go to different places. Then his desires are molded. So soul is has the freedom to desire anything. Prakriti can just give proposals. Prakriti never forces. Okay.
Can you repeat, Prabhu?
See, Prakriti will never force, it will just give proposals. And then soul desires, as soon as soul desires, if he has punya, Lord allows him to enjoy or suffer. Basically, Lord allows him to enjoy.
Okay. So, no, that in the previous to previous verse, we were seeing that, soul is not the cause. Like, the body is the source for, just a minute.
Not true, but main thing is who desired it. Soul only desired, na.
Yeah.
So he is, in that sense, he's a doer. Desire is there, but
Yeah.
because desire is not just enough for doing anything. In that sense, he's not a doer.
Okay. That's what I was confused. Like, because in one sense we are saying soul is not the doer, only the body is the, because of the contact with material nature, the body is the cause for doing everything like that, because of our material nature contact.
Yeah.
So in two way we can understand.
Yes. Like for example, I may be sitting in my room and I may be desiring, no, what if this room had an AC? But if unless until you do the hard work of purchasing the AC, first earning money, purchasing AC, putting it there, paying bill for it, so one cannot do anything. No? So similarly, in that sense, I'm not doer. If I desire and I get an AC. Or let us say I desire an AC and as soon as somebody understands my desire and immediately does it. In one sense, I have not done anything. But main thing is, unless until I desired, how will you do that? So that's how, in one sense, he is doer, but actually not doer.
Okay. Thank you.
So now 33. यथा सर्वगतां सूक्ष्म्यात् आकाशां नोपलिप्यते सर्वत्रावस्थितो देहे तथात्मान नोपलिप्यते. Please read.
The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. Hare Krishna.
So like now this particular example is also very sukshma because we don't understand ether. Ether is one which makes the space. So something is situated in one space. Now something else may be situated, but space will not say that I will not allow you. But unless and space is there, one cannot occupy the things. Like for example, there is space in a bus. Space cannot say, oh, I'll allow only people who have ticket, those who don't have ticket, I'll not allow. Space allows anyone with ticket, without ticket, this, that. So if there is no space, one cannot sit. At the same time, space doesn't discriminate, doesn't mix. So similarly, one who is in Brahman realization, he may be doing a lot of things. Or soul may be doing a lot of things. But then he has nothing to do with matter. And what is your Paramatma? Paramatma even doesn't have doership mentality, enjoying mentality, misidentification. So then he doesn't get contaminated with matter at all. But even soul is transcendent. So that is how one is in that body, but yet transcendent. Now, 34th. यथा प्रकाशयति एकः कृष्णं लोकम् इमं रविः क्षेत्रं चेति तथा कृष्णं प्रकाशयति भारत. Please read.
O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So a sun illuminates a particular thing, but doesn't become affected by the quality of that particular thing which it illuminates. For example, sunlight may be touching stool and urine, but sun doesn't become contaminated. Similarly, Paramatma may be enlightening the entire body, but Paramatma doesn't become contaminated. So Paramatma is compared to that sun.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So here one within the body is Atma or Paramatma Prabhu?
We can take both. If you say Paramatma, Paramatma is not contaminated even in the sense of in illusion. Soul is contaminated in illusion, but actually it is not contaminated. Soul
Okay.
is aloof.
Okay.
Aloof. So what has happened basically is these two, 33 and 34, Prabhupada has taken it as Atma, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has taken it as Paramatma. So, but both are applicable. It's applicable for both. Okay. क्षेत्र गयोर एवं अंतरम ज्ञान चक्षुषा भूत प्रकृति मोक्षम च ये विदुर्यांति ते परम. Please read translation.
Those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain the supreme goal. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. One who knows body, unit of matter, knower of the body means soul and super soul, and the process of liberation, how to realize that I'm not body, I'm soul. So then gradually can attain the supreme goal. You can read the last paragraph. Prabhupada has summarized the whole chapter in this paragraph.
One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. The body is the gross manifestation, and the subtle manifestation is the mind and the psychological effects. And the symptoms of life are interaction of these features. But over and above this, there is soul, and there is also the super soul. The soul and the super soul are two. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and the 24 material elements. One who can see the constitution of these whole material manifestation as this combination of the soul and material elements, and can also see the situation of the supreme soul, becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization, and one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhupada has not just given the summary, he has also told how to get benefit from this chapter. So he tells that how body is made of 24 elements, there is soul, there is super soul. Symptoms of life are because of interaction between all three of them. So what to do with this chapter? It's meant for contemplation and for realization. So contemplate on the philosophy given in this chapter. And if you learn it from the spiritual master with the help of spiritual master, then one will gradually realize it out. So that's the benefit of how we can derive the benefit from this chapter. So in this 35 verse also, Lord himself has given the summary. Chetragyo, there are two knowers of the field, Atma, Paramatma. So one who knows that along with the field means this body. One knows method of liberation, moksha, of how this bhuta or living entities can get to moksha. So if one contemplates on all these things, one will attain the supreme goal. Okay, Santosh.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, the last statement of that purport says that we should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of spiritual master. So how can we understand this, Prabhu?
Spiritual master is basically Shiksha Guru or Diksha Guru. That means go through a guide, try to understand, and if you have questions, then get them resolved. Simple.
Okay, bro.
So, like now we study subjects from the teacher. Simply get a teacher and get it clarified. The general understanding problem is that in general understanding in India, Sutra Master means he comes and he smiles and he gives Asirvad and goes away. That's not Sutra Master. Sutra Master means you go and study under him. Sutra Master is more of a teacher, not just an Asirvad Baba.
Thank you, bro.
Okay. Now we'll enter in chapter number 14. Because in chapter number 13, verse number 22, Lord has spoken. Karanam Goda Sangva se Satasati Unjanasu. Because of contact with these modes, one is born in good and evil species of the life. So that means modes are very important. Modes are extremely powerful. That's why Lord starts discussing about these modes in chapter number 14. It's called Guna Traya Vibhaga Yoga, or three modes of material nature. So how soul is bound by the gunas? What are the symptoms of boundation? How can you identify somebody is bound by Sattva-guna, somebody is bound by Rajoguna, somebody is bound by Tamoguna? How do you understand that a particular mode or all the modes have disappeared? What are the symptoms? And how can one transcend the modes by practice of bhakti? One can go about Sri Masamiti. All these things are explained in chapter number 14. So Prabhupada names them as Sri Masamiti material nature. And other acharyas also, they name it as Gunatraya Vibhaga. So it's almost same. Fine, so now we'll go to details. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Param Bhuya Parvachyami Jnana Nam Jnanam Uttamam Yajgatva Munaya Sarve Param Siddhim Natogata.
The blessed Lord said, again, I shall declare you to this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection.
Yeah. So what Lord says is, he says that Param Bhuya, Bhuya means again. So this knowledge has already been given by sages, but I will speak it in concise and very systematically now. What is the result of that knowledge? Simply by getting this knowledge, sages have attained perfection of life, you will also attain perfection of life, my dear Arjun. So that is the benefit. Idam jnanam upasrita mamsa dharmamagate gata sarge api nopajayante prale navathanti cha. Please read.
By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature, which is like my own nature. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation, nor disturbed at the time of dissolution.
The people who have taken shelter of this knowledge, what has happened to them? They have attained liberation by knowing their Swarupa. They have realized the Swarupa, Sarupya. Similarly, with a similar form of mind, Sadharma. Basically, one will get to Vaikuntha actually. And he doesn't experience the pain of dying. One gets a 400 formula like Lord Narayan, one gets Sarupamukti. So that's the benefit of this particular being fixed in this particular knowledge. Mam Yonir Mahad Brahma. Or you can read the first paragraph, first few lines. Read first 4 lines of purpose.
Hare Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai Sri Prabhupada. After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative quantity with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from repetition of birth and death. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. It is understood from the Vedic literature that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being engaged in the transcendental loving service. So even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So Prabhupada is very fine. He's saying it's not that one loses on identity, but one gets liberated in the sense that one knows one's swarupa. Mam yonir mahat brahma tasmin garbham dadamyaham sambhava sarvabhutanam tato bhavati bharata. Please read.
The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata.
You can read purport also. Both the paragraphs.
This is explanation of the world. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the body and the spirit soul. The combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme God Himself. The Mahatattva is the total cause of the total cosmic manifestation. And because in this total substance of the material cause, there are three modes of nature, it is sometimes called Brahman. The Supreme Personality impregnates the total substance, and thus innumerable universes becomes possible. Thus, total material substance, the Mahatattva, is described as Brahman in Vedic literature. Tasmat etad Brahma nama rupam annam cha jayate. Into that Brahman, the seed of the living entities are impregnated by the Supreme Person. The 24 elements, beginning from earth, water, fire, and air, are all material energy called Mahabrahman, or the great Brahman. The material nature, as explained in the 7th chapter, beyond this, there is another supreme nature, superior nature, the living entity. In material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, and thereafter all living entities are born of this material nature. The scorpion lays its eggs in piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice, but the rice is not the cause of the scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, material nature not the cause of the birth of the living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they only seems to come out as products of material nature. Thus, every living entity, according to the past activities, has a different body created by this material nature, and the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. The Lord is the cause of all the manifestation of living entities in this material world. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So, what was the definition of Brahmans? Somebody remembers?
The effulgence of Krishna.
No, that's Brahma Jyoti. There's one definition which is applicable for everything. So there is one definition of Brahma Jyoti.
The material universe.
No, that's not called Brahman.
Oh, sorry.
Jivatma.
Jivatma is also called Brahman. There's another definition of Brahman. But there is one definition of Brahman which is applicable for everyone.
Light which emanates from the Lord.
It's Brahma Jyoti again. It's all Brahman, but it's Brahma Jyoti.
Prakriti.
All permitted.
Merging.
No, merging is called Nirvana. All of you forgot. One definition you know from Krishna, our Brahman is Aksharam. Aksharam is something which doesn't deteriorate.
Prabhu, can you please repeat?
Aksharam is Chaya. From Chaya words comes Aksharam. And Aksharam is something which doesn't deteriorate. So Brahma doesn't deteriorate. It's called Brahman. Living entity doesn't deteriorate. It's called Brahman. Similar totality of material nature, as we were discussing in the previous class, that also doesn't deteriorate. So that's why even that is called Brahman. So why I'm speaking this, but in this verse, Brahman is referring to material nature. Smam yonir mahat Brahma. The totality of material nature also doesn't deteriorate. So here the word Brahma is used for material nature. It's not used just for Brahma Jyoti or for living entity. Okay. So this is one definition which is applicable everywhere. Something but doesn't deteriorate. Something which is eternal. So living entity is eternal. Totality of material nature is eternal. Spiritual world is eternal. Lord's effulgence is eternal. So all these are called Brahma. And Prabhupada gives Tandul Risik that sometimes in a stalk of rice, some eggs of the scorpion also go. And in due course of time, people see, oh, scorpions are coming out of rice. So they say, very good. Scorpions come from rice. Scorpions don't come from rice. Scorpion had eggs, and from those eggs, scorpions are coming. So similarly, we find here also that ultimately material nature is coming from either living entities, their presence, or Supreme Soul, from the Supreme Lord. Matter in itself cannot give rise to living entities. That's why Lord says that it is I who impregnate the matter. Not that no, automatically from matter life comes. Life comes from life, life doesn't come from matter. Matter can come from life. Like Prabhupada gives example of lemon tree. So lemon tree is a living one, and from the lemon tree, a lot of lemons are produced. And each of the lemon, there is a lot of citric acid. But even if you take a lot of citric acid, you cannot produce lemon tree. So life can give rise to matter, but matter cannot give rise to life. Okay. So that's basically Prabhupada's emphasized. So I hope by this time definition of Brahma is clear to everyone. Something which doesn't create. Aksharam. Aksharam Parama Brahma. We'll take
Hare
one.
Krishna, Prabhuji. I have one doubt, Prabhuji. Brahma is the secondary creator.
वो ब्रह्मा है.
No, I mean, Lord, by his glance, he is impregnating. Then, what is the role of Prakriti? I mean, they say that Parvati, she's, and then Brahma is the secondary creator. So, like, Lord is impregnating, he's putting the seeds in the living entities. I mean, I'm a little confused on this.
You have to go through the whole understanding of creation for that. I sent some lectures. You can hear those lectures. I'll just tell you in concise now. Okay, now you hear those lectures, then it will be clear.
Okay,
so Lord impregnates through his glance.
Yes.
Then Prakriti, who's Parvati, gets the living entities, but that doesn't immediately give creation. That glance is called Shiva. Shiva touches Parvati from that. Then what happens is then Prakriti changes. Slowly 24 elements come in picture. Then from those 24 elements, Lord sends his Vibrat Shakti. Then universes come out. After universes come out, different living entities go in different universes. Now, in each of the universe, one universe, Lord again enters as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. From his navel, lotus comes out. On top of that, Brahma is born. And then Brahma, then he does the creation of making various metal bodies using that ingredients from the lotus. Okay. So that's how
so
it's called.
so this glancing impregnation happens before the before that Brahma comes. Before only it is happening.
Yes.
Okay, bro.
See, Brahma also is a metal body, na? How will Brahma come?
Yes.
That means there has to be someone who creates beforehand. Question will come, who created Brahma? And this question will come.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Is that lecture is the Hindi or
Yeah,
English?
you can send the link, Prabhuji. I mean,
I sent one lecture on
one
Hindi.
class you have sent 24 elements regarding 24 elements, but in that it was not there. I think, I mean, I heard that lecture.
See, 24 elements was one class, and similarly I sent one class for this also, creation. Creation I sent link for 2 classes. One was in English, one was in Hindi.
Okay, Prabhuji. I'll check it.
So in my YouTube channel, that is there. Both are there. English one is also there, Hindi one is also there.
Sure,
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, so now we'll take one more verse and then 3 more metal nature will start. Sarvayonisu kaunteya muteya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahadhyone aham bija pradapita. Here also Lord is using word Brahma mahadhyone. Brahma. Here Brahma is referring to metal nature. Please read.
It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material universe, and that I am the seed-giving father. Hare Krishna.
So I become father because father gives life to the medium of semen, and mother gives body. So similarly, metal bodies are given by Prakriti, and the life comes from the glands of Mahavishnu. So that's why Lord is saying that I am the father and Prakriti becomes the mother, and not at the time of creation, at all the times. Because ultimately, it is Lord's arrangement that a person is born from a particular father and mother. Like hand may be doing a sign on paper. So hand may say it is my signature, paper may say it is my signature, pen may say it is my signature. But ultimately, it's person's signature only, na? So karmana deva netrena janto deho patave. So it's higher powers which arrange a child to be born from a particular father and mother. So it's ultimately the higher powers. So in this way, practice place of birth, yoni, in all forms of creature, which appears in wombs from Deva to grass. So for everyone, Lord says, I remain the father and Prakriti remains the mother. From text number 5, 3 more metal nature will start. So that I'll take in next class. A different topic will start. So any question on whatever we have discussed, we can discuss. Else we'll stop. So I think we will end here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Prabhupada ki Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Thank you, bro. Kalan Prabhu.
We can end then, bro.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, bro. Hare Krishna.